If you follow the same kind of YouTube people that I follow, you'll have noticed that for a while there's been something of a problem building with various videos being demonetized, not showing up in searches and so on. It's the same problem we've been seeing across all kinds of social media with crude, stupid bots and simple algorithms being used to remove or shadow ban or hide or otherwise make content that's problematic not appear in people's searches, in people's feeds, make it so you're talking to yourself when you post somewhere. These are all distinct problems. When it comes to YouTube, that problem is aggravated by the fact that it is costing people money, and we seem to have divided into two camps, both of which are pretty ridiculous. One of which is suck it up, nobody owes you a living, and the other side of which is, oh my god, mainstream media, it's a conspiracy, everyone's out to get us. The truth is probably somewhere in between. Now, on the one hand, there's little doubt that there is a great deal of jealousy of the audiences and the achievements that individual creators who are just some spod with a webcam can make. There's definitely some of that going on from the mainstream media. But this platform has its own issues with bullshit and bullying and other things like that. Now, I don't think that level of thing is really a problem because people can just block, ignore, not look at the fucking video in the first place, and that's really an end to it. You know, you can control comments and stuff on your thing. If you haven't learned to deal with trolling by now, and it's current year, then odds are you're never going to. But that's just moronic, because it's, as long as you want a free internet, that's something you have to deal with. Does that mean there's some kind of evil conspiracy to take down independent media? No, that's just stupid. They're just acting in their own self-interest, and that's also contributing to the other things that are going on. Sure, there are instances of mendacious lying, such as calling Sargon alt-right, or there are issues with misrepresentation, such as exaggerating or misrepresenting JonTron or PewDiePie. For all JonTron might have controversial opinions, there's no need to exaggerate them. And should people be punished on something that sells itself as an open free expression platform? Should there be punishment for actually speaking your mind? Fuck no. So the question then is, what constitutes free speech? What constitutes censorship? What degree of rights does a platform like YouTube have? What degree of rights do the users on YouTube have? And sure, it's a private company. It's also nearly a monopoly on video content online, and as such carries a responsibility, in my opinion, to preserve and protect the free speech rights of the people on it. Doesn't matter whether I agree with those people, doesn't matter whether you agree with those people, they should have those rights. Do they have a right to have that content monetized? Do they have a right to have it pay off for them? Well, you all know the saying, I'm sure, that if you're not paying for something, then you're the product. And both creators and audience are the product when it comes to YouTube. They are selling content which advertising can be attached to. That content attracts eyes, those eyes view the advertising along with the content, and that's where the money is generated, at least directly for YouTube and via YouTube for content creators. The people who are paying are the advertisers. What they're paying for is eyeballs, not the content that we're creating, not directly. They're not funding us usually directly to create content unless they've come up with some kind of sponsorship deal or whatever directly with the creator. Otherwise, there is no direct connection between the advertiser and the content creator. So where's the problem? For me at least, this feels like another mismatch between kind of old media expectations and new media realities. For the longest time it has been the case that there's no relationship, and everyone knows that there's no relationship between the advertiser and the content creator. They don't choose whether adverts show up, I don't choose what adverts show up on my content, at least not on YouTube. I'm sure we've also run into instances where particular sites have had complaints about the kinds of adverts showing up on them. There's been cases of semi-adult computer game adverts, browser game adverts showing up on sites that were anti-sexism or whatever, and then they kick up a huge fuss about the fact that these adverts were delivered to their site when it's inappropriate. So what we're seeing here with the advertisers talking is kind of that in reverse. Personally, I think in both instances it's stupid because there's no relation between the two things whatsoever, and any slightly savvy person knows that there's no relation between the two whatsoever. I mean, if a Coke advert shows up on my video, I'm not particularly enamoured of the Coca-Cola company, but so what? You know, my content has nothing to do with them. Their beverage, their company, their actions, their business ethics have nothing to do with me. They're paying for eyeballs, I'm providing eyeballs, that's an end to the relationship. What if a new Disney film is advertised at the beginning of one of my videos? Walt Disney was a genuine, actual Nazi sympathiser. What am I supposed to think about that? Are they about to get all their adverts removed and pulled? Are they worried about being put alongside right-wing pundits? What the fuck? Now, as usual in these kind of instances, I think the solution is better tools. Give the advertisers better tools so that they can control the kind of content that their advertising appears next to. That way, those advertisers who don't give a single solitary flying fuck about what their advertising turns up next to, because after all, fascists gotta drink Coke too, they can still do that. And also the other way, creators who don't want particular kinds of advertising next to their videos can choose. Then everyone's happy, everyone can still create content, everyone can still get their content monetized, everyone can still get money, everyone can still get eyeballs on their product. Yippity skip, everyone is okay. That seems like the perfect solution to me. Which means, of course, it's not gonna fucking happen. Of course, nobody gave a fuck about any of this until very recently. It has only really come to light because of witch hunts against particular vloggers and content producers on YouTube who don't even necessarily have that controversial views. I mean, men's rights activists have been caught up in this. They're just activists. Yeah, before you celebrate about any of this, people on the opposite side of a lot of these issues, consider how it's going to impact you. Consider that the restricted mode created an uproar from the LGBT community, even though it's precisely the kind of censorship they've been demanding and asking for years. This stuff will always come back and bite you on the arse, so it is always better to take that more open, more free speech, give people greater choice and control. It's always better to take that approach rather than to try and silence and shut up people, because those same tools will get used to do things that you don't like. Of course, a huge part of this problem is that YouTube does not communicate with people, does not solve its issues. The unsubscription bug is still going on. There's bugs with demonetization appeals that have been going on. And none of it's transparent, none of it appears to make any sense. There doesn't seem to be any kind of rhyme or reason over which videos get demonetized. And this whole thing is changing the landscape that people understood and have built careers on. And I think they're justified in getting upset and angry when someone changes the deal. Because you know who else changes deals?
I am altering the deal. Pray I don't alter it any further.
I don't make a lot of money off this channel. I don't expect to make a lot of money off this channel. I expect it to eventually become worthwhile. That's the extent to which I expect this to be any kind of success. You know, I have under 1,000 subs. I make perhaps $5 to $10 a month off YouTube. I do it mostly for other reasons, to promote my other social media, to promote my work in various fields, and to give me a way of commenting in a way where people can see my sincerity, hear my tone of voice and so on, because I get flamed a lot on social media for my opinions, and I think they come across better in this format, which is a very, very hard thing for a professional writer to say. Still, that doesn't mean I'm completely unaffected, and the videos of mine that have been affected, I may give some more information that may help someone else out there who's looking into all of this. So I'll give you that information. I just went through my entire videos back to the point where I didn't used to monetize, and there's quite a few videos in there that have been demonetized that I was never informed about, so that's one issue. There's also a couple that I recently appealed that have had their monetization status returned, so there's that shred of hope, I suppose. Let's take a look at the ones that were demonetized. Majid Nawaz attacked by cartoons. This was reporting on Majid Nawaz getting into a fight over cartoons of the Prophet Muhammad. It was reportage on current events. I'm guessing it was demonetized because it mentioned Muslims and Islamism and censorship and blasphemy. I've appealed it. BuzzFeed goes full Goebbels. This was a commentary on a particularly horrendous BuzzFeed video that was horrifically racist, but the right kind of racist. So I'm guessing that the issue here was Goebbels and thereby mentioning Nazis, but it was actually attacking racism, so yeah, nice one. I reappealed that one too. This video was about the relative merits of using a battle map in a tabletop role-playing game or using theatre of the mind, that is, imagining it all in your head. Why the hell this was demonetized, I have absolutely no idea, other than perhaps the title had fight in it. This was a video called Photography Kills Art, apparently, which was about the absurdity of stopping people taking photographs in galleries in the 21st century. So that was demonetized. I'm guessing because it has the word kills in the title? Absurd. This was The Assigned Male at Birth Individual Who Cried Nazi, which was a satirical take on The Boy Who Cried Wolf, about millennials' urge to feel special and their tendency to scream Nazi at anybody who didn't agree with them about anything. So yeah, satire and social commentary, probably taken down because of the term Nazi being used, and I can't appeal on it, but it's not clear whether that's a bug or a feature. This was reporting on Dylan Roof's desire for a race war and how disappointing it was that rather than rejecting that message, a lot of people on the other side of the racial divide used what he had done as an excuse to attack all white people. So it was showing that the mirror image exists on both sides of that particular issue. So it was reporting on current events and commentary on hypocrisy and so on. I think we can guess why that one was demonetized, but I don't think that's legitimate. This was my contribution to make feminism less annoying. Now, I expect that feminism isn't a trigger word for the demonetization bot, so they must have targeted this hashtag specifically, or one of the keywords or something that I put with it. But it's just a critique of an ideology and a movement. There doesn't seem to be any justification for that being demonetized. Here's one I agree with, though it was probably entirely an accident. I did an item on Caitlin Nicole Davies, who killed herself live on stream, which was a horrible thing. You know, I suffer from depression, I've had bouts of suicidal ideation and so on. So occasionally I do videos on that sort of topic, and they do tend to run afoul of this kind of thing, but do also tend to get sorted out one way or the other. Otherwise, I usually don't monetize them in the first place. This one I have things set to automatically monetize and forgot about it, so them demonetizing it, not a big deal. But there are charities and so on that deal with depression and other issues similar to that, and I think depriving them of income, which can then be put to good use or offset the cost of the videos that they make, is probably a bad idea. So these subjects should be able to be monetized, in my opinion. The Pedo Smellers Pursuivant Run Amok was a commentary on the spurious accusations of paedophilia, approval and apologia and so on hurled at Milo Yiannopoulos. So I'm guessing it's the pedo thing that got it flagged for demonetization, but you know, there could be legitimate news reporting on Operation U-Tree or Jimmy Savile or whatever else that would run afoul of that. So that seems an illegitimate thing to demonetize over, and there's no appeal on this video, but whether it's a bug or not, I have no idea. Lastly, I did a video on the recent attack on Parliament, and again this was probably demonetized due to mentions of Islamism and the Muslim motivation for the attack, perhaps, or perhaps just because it was current affairs in which someone was hurt. Hard to tell, but doesn't seem justified in my opinion. So as you can see, a lot of these were just commentary on current affairs, things that might be controversial, but things that you might see opinion pieces or expert guests on news shows or just news reports on, opinion columns in newspapers and so forth, that advertisers have absolutely no compunction about placing their adverts alongside, for the most part. There are a few exceptions. So it seems absurd and ridiculous to have demonetization on pieces like this, of commentary, of news reporting, of current affairs, current events. It seems absurd to demonetize on YouTube when in conventional media there doesn't seem to be any issue the same way. This is probably down to crude automation. I have had a few things that have been remonetized on appeal, so my advice to you would be appeal. You can avoid some demonetization by removing keywords, but that makes it less likely you'll pop up in related videos and so on. You can avoid demonetization to an extent by making sure that your titles are tame, but you're probably going to get less hits that way as well. So there's ways you can minimize the chances that you'll be demonetized, but with it going through the captioning and subtitling and so on as well, that's not something that bigger channels can really hope to get away with. Hopefully we'll see better tools and these bots and automation systems improve as time goes forward, but in the meantime I would suggest appeal everything, watch your keywords, watch your titles, hope for the best. For creators, all I can suggest is to be careful. I am by no means a hugely experienced, massively influential or highly followed YouTuber, but if you watch your keywords, watch your titles, maybe you'll get away with some controversial content still being monetized. Fingers crossed. Though, so long as this witch hunt's going on, if anyone finds adverts associated with your content and you're being controversial, then there's probably still going to be trouble. I would also suggest that you diversify the platforms that you're using, encourage people to view you on other platforms, find other ways of monetizing your content, or encouraging donations, Patreon, direct PayPal donations, merchandise, whatever else. If you've got a sizable enough audience to do that, then fine. Some people use affiliate links. That can be a good way to make a little bit of extra scratch on the side as well. For you people watching, what can you do to help your creators? Well, you can switch off your ad block for videos that are monetized. You can donate one time or regularly using Patreon or PayPal or whatever else they have available. You can subscribe with the bell, of course, unfortunately, due to other bugs going on here. You can encourage other people to subscribe. You can retweet and share people's content. That all helps build up a mass of support, and that eventually, one way or the other, usually means more money and assistance for the people whose work you happen to like. And that's the way it's going to go. I think you can view Patreon and so on as being like the BBC license in a way. It's a way you can directly support and free people from the pressures of advertising. That's the big argument for some forms of state media and things like the BBC, and it's an argument here on YouTube to have independent financing of people's content directly through donations, because it frees them from that pressure of advertising and so on. Of course, eventually, the way this seems to be going across all social media is that there's going to be crackdowns and delistings and so on and so forth anyway. So we're going to have everyone who wants to talk about anything slightly controversial is going to have to look out for different platforms, different ways of presenting their content, probably. Now, for my part, I can earn a bit of extra scratch if people go and buy my role-playing games or my fiction or whatever. So, would anyone particularly object to me including affiliate link adverts to places like RPG Now or Drive-Thru RPG, where I can get affiliate link cashback, or direct small adverts inserted into my videos for my own products, so I'm not necessarily shilling somebody else, but stuff that I actually do? Would you find that too intrusive, too e-beggy? How would you feel about that? Let me know. I'm sure we'll all navigate through this successfully somehow. There's a balance to be reached here somewhere. Things will find their level, and if they don't, hopefully some other platform will spring up, but I'm not particularly hopeful given how near monopolies have pretty much taken over the entire public space and are becoming increasingly repressive. But let's hope. Zang.